Hi, this is Chandra Prowell with Edina Public Schools, and I'm doing a lesson for elementary students, primary students in music, for writing a melody on the staff. We're using a simple poem that we learned in first grade to teach us rest. It goes, Monkey, monkey, moo, shall we name a few? Yellow monkey, purple monkey, monkeys red and blue. And this is what our rhythm looks like. Tee-tee-tee-tee-ta. Tee-tee-tee-tee-ta. T-T-T-T-T-T-T-T-T-T-T-T-Ta. Rest. So using this rhythm together, you already took the time to come up with a melody that you like that uses A, G, and E as your la, so, and mi. My melody that I wrote sounds something like this. Monkey, monkey, moo, shall we name a few? Yellow monkey, purple monkey, monkeys red and blue. So I'm going to go over to my rhythm here, and I'm using A, G, and E, and I'm going to write down the note, the pitch that I played on my instrument, and I'm going to write it underneath. So when I played monkey, monkey, moo, it looked like this. G, G, A, G. And then I did it again. Shall we name a few? And it looked like this. G, G, A, G. And then we had yellow monkey, purple monkey, which ended up looking like this on my instrument. G, G, A, E, G, G. Excuse me. G, G, E, A, G, G, E, A. And then finally, shall we name a few? G, G, A, G. Now, that's my piece, and I realized that while I sang it, shall we name a few, what I actually sang was different from what I wrote, and I like what I sang better. Composers do this a lot, friends. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cross that off, because after having another day of practice, I realized that I think it sounds better right here to have G, G, E, A, G. Now it's your turn to take the thing that you wrote and try to write down the letter name underneath each note head, so that for every note head you have one pitch that you played on your instrument. And remember, there should be nothing written underneath your rests, because your rests are a beat of silence. I'm going to have you pause the video and do this, and then come back and push play. All right, now you wrote all the pitch letters underneath your rhythm. That was job number 2. Job number 3. Now it's time to write it on the staff that has 5 lines and 4 spaces. Number 1 rule, we have to make sure that the note heads go in the right places, and then you add the stems, because the note heads are the things that tell us which bar or which pitch to play. Then we add the stems, and the stems have to match the stems in the rhythm, because the rhythm tells us how fast or slow. It's when you combine pitch and rhythm that you have a melody. So if we're going to write the whole melody, you need note heads and stems to be accurate. So let's take a look over here at my final version right here. Remember, I crossed out the A and I put an E instead because I like that better. And now we're going to look at our staff. Our staff has 5 lines and 4 spaces, and I'm going to take a line right here. I'm just going to make this nice big giant red line right here to show you that this is where G so is today. Now I'm going to take that away, because real musicians don't have that. So I'm going to take my note head, and I'm going to put my note head on G, G, because that's what my song tells me to do. G, G right there. And it's a TT, so I make it look like a TT right here. Then I go A, and that's up here. Remember, A is just one step higher than G. They are next door neighbors. So G, G, A, G. And then what do you need? I'm going to have you pause the video and see if you can figure out what is missing, what happens next. Hopefully you told me that what happens next is a rest. Good job. The next thing we're going to do is do the same thing. G, G, A, G, because that's what my composition says I want to do. And don't forget that rest. That rest is important. Remember, it's you put the note head on G, on A, on G, and then you fill in the stems. And that's how I can make sure that whatever you write, I can play later. And then we have the part that goes do, 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 do. or so, so, mi, la. Our letters that you wrote underneath were G, G, and then you wrote E, A. And when you write the notehead for E, it's down here. But when you write the notehead for A, it's up here. So you have to have a slanty connector line to connect the tops of the stems like this. So we're going to do that twice. Do, 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 do. And then finally we have monkeys, red and blue. Remember that I did that funky ending. I decided to change after a day of practice. I like it better. And now I'm going to ask you, I'm going to pause the video and see if you think I got everything I need to. And then when you think you have the answer, push play again. How many of you noticed that I am missing something important here? I'm missing a rest. But not only that, if you go back to the directions, it says don't forget bar lines and a time signature. We have 4 beats per measure here in Monkey, Monkey Moo. So that means every 4 beats I need to have a bar line. Here's 1 beat, a TT is 1 beat. There's 2, 3, 4 is our rest. And so now, there we go, there's the bar line. We'll do it again. 1, because the TT is a whole beat. 2, 3, 4. The bar line comes at the end there. We don't need another time signature at the beginning of the next line. It only happens at the beginning of the whole song. Let's see. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and our bar line comes after 4 TTs because each TT represents 1 beat. And then at the end there's something tricky. It's not just a bar line, it's a double bar line with one end thicker and one end, the inside end, thinner. And now you have almost completed your assignment. The one thing missing up here is your name. Don't forget to write your name on here and then hand it in. You've done your assignment. Good job.